Listen, access has been denied. If you are not going to exit the Americas, and yes, you heard me right, the Americas, North, Central, and South America before 2027, then you are going to be out of luck, because we have already seen at the start of January 2026 that President Donald Trump is capable of taking out Latin American leaders leading their countries and telling Latin American countries what he wants them to do, how he wants them to live their life, and they are going to do the digital ID system, not only in Europe, but they are gearing up to also put it in the Americas. That's what we're talking about today, because this is absolutely insane.
Yeah, guys, look, things are changing super fast. You really don't know what Donald Trump might wake up and early in the morning, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, and then start tweeting about stuff, posting on X. We see a lot of things changing at the end of 2025, talking about dual citizenship. So I know something is coming. He has something up his sleeve where it is very important that you need to pay attention to what's going to happen in 2026 and beyond. Because look, like my wife was just saying, things are starting to change from physical to digital in a way.
Yes,
so
and there's this dangerous misconception out there that Europe is isolated, that the U.S. is isolated, that Mexico is isolated, that Panama is isolated. You used to think Venezuela was a sovereign country isolated from the United States of America, but what we're seeing is that Central America, South America, and North America are going to operate as one entity. And what's unfolding is not a collection of national policies, it's systems convergence. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Yeah. But here's the thing. Digital ID is the backbone of all of this. Not the headlines people typically talk about with visa restrictions, citizenship issues, or traveling, or when to catch the best flight. Oh no. That's understandable to think about those things, but those are the visible artifacts of the movement. Behind the scenes, the real shift is happening with digital ID frameworks. They're quietly becoming the primary layer of recognition, which documents reduce to supporting props. It's crazy because in Europe, this shows up clearly through the entry-exit system. We spoke about it on this channel months ago in October 2025, and now it's in full operation. If you go to Europe as an American, as a South American, you know, they just let in about 500,000 immigrants into Spain. And those people, since they were already in Spain, it's hard to tell if they're going to have to go through that system again. But if you were to go to Spain today, you would have to go through that entry-exit system where they're reading your facial expression and your facial recognition, not just your fingerprints anymore. Now it's about your pupils, your iris, your nose, your eyes, getting you into a digital database for good.
Yeah, this is changing pretty fast. This is why we say, like, you really can't waste time in this world that we are living in, because like my wife just said, we just did a video back in 2025 October, and now we're starting to see this stuff play out. And this is like they're going to switch the system, so you have to learn how to maneuver through the system, or you're just going to be caught up in the system. Yes, guys, everything is heating up, guys. Everything is heating up. As you guys see, we had to switch spots because the phone was heating up, but that correlates into what we are actually talking about, because if people do not realize how important this digital ID is going to be pretty soon, I'm telling you, you're just going to get caught up in that system.
And the crypto laws that went through.
The crypto stuff is all
Bitcoin crashing,
coming down to, you know, just being pretty much what is it called, the basic income,
universal basic income. But this is exactly why we wanted to take the time and do the emergency urgent state of the diaspora once again, the 18th edition, because you were telling me about clients that you were talking to last night and the mature adult intensive, because we keep seeing this reoccurring theme of expats in Mexico or in Panama or in Brazil that are saying, I feel something is off. Nobody's talking about it, but I feel that I need to head to Africa or Asia. And I need to go to the southern areas of those two continents. We're not talking about North Africa. We're not talking about North Asia. We mean sub-Saharan Africa, Southeast Asia, like as far south as you can get away from those systems. Because I'm going to tell you, we, of course, all of us on this channel survived the pandemic. This is why we're all here. But the way that we survived it different than many Americans is that we were in a country called Tanzania. And at that time, Tanzania did not believe there was a pandemic. So nobody was getting those jabs. Nobody was wearing masks. There are places on this earth that will not function with the digital ID beast system. How do I know? Because we've lived it. There are places on this earth still developing where people don't have the technology that you're used to in the States with robots in New York City. I just saw a video of a robot in New York City delivering groceries. America is too far into this thing, just like the United Kingdom, but there are still countries out there, which is what we cover in the State of the Diaspora 5-in-1 edition, where we discuss Botswana, Seychelles, Rwanda, Mauritius, and more visa-free countries in Africa that will give you a beautiful residency. But you have to do the due diligence. Check out the link in the description. There's only 12 slots available, and we begin this Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern. Once it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah, we have to make it urgent, because that's like the people that signs up. It becomes a community. So that's one big thing that I always tell our clients. Like the biggest thing is to have this community. So if you sign up, of course you're getting the information, but the bonus is to have to keep that information within the community. So it's just a blessing to see that the people that we talk to, they have traveled. Yes, they have lived in certain regions of this world, right? But they're starting to realize, like, okay, maybe I need to start really having a strategy
outside of the Americas.
Outside of certain regions, like where is going to be long term, the quality of life too. How is the cost of living? Is the cost of living lower plus the quality of life is pretty similar to America? Where can you really travel and live and be at and have that?
And plan for the next 10 to 20 years.
Yeah, and this is what exactly we talk about, behind the scenes in State of Diaspora and the Mature Adult Intensive. So,
absolutely. But listen, Central America is literally being absorbed as we speak by America. And this has to happen because, again, just because they're quiet right now doesn't mean that there is not paradise in Northern European Arctic areas, okay? There is not paradise amongst those peoples and groups in the world anymore, and the Arctic Circle is going down. President Trump said he wants Greenland. He did the ultimate negotiation and said, we're going to invade, and now everybody backed down and said, you know what, maybe we can work out a deal. Maybe you can buy it to protect us from China and Russia. Understand that the end goal for 2026 is for America to own that entire hemisphere. And you may not want to be in a super fascist America that's operating like 1939 Germany when the Nazis were kicking things off and spreading their wings and flying throughout Europe. No, you do not want to live like that. Instead, you may want to understand that the pattern is clear. The West is becoming one operating system. You know, when Windows used to own all of the computer systems, then Apple came on the scene. Now Apple and Windows are vying against each other. But America is that one operating system that's like, hey, China is ruling in Africa. China has lots of trade deals, lots of different refineries and lots of different machinery that they're getting to obtain the gold and the platinum and the silver and the diamonds and the cobalt and all those things. And America feels like she's a little bit left out, because at the end of the day, America has been left out. Let's not forget Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso and Chad all said no Americans can enter. You know, it always confuses me when I see expats saying, you know, I would love to visit Mali. I'm like, you can't get in the country. Okay? Things are changing in this world that you need to pay attention to. This is the uncomfortable truth most people don't want to name. The US, the UK, the European Union, comprised of about 29 different countries, and parts of South and Central America are not diverging, they are converging. Different accents, different flags, different cultures, but the same logic. And let's not forget the 500,000 people who are illegal immigrants in Spain. I actually did the research. The majority of them are Latin Americans.
That's deep. But I did want to touch on something about what's going on in West Africa and, you know, President Donald Trump, right? You got to understand that pretty much his whole life, he will get what he wants. He's a businessman. He makes sure, you know, he knows how to negotiate. And recently what just happened with Nigeria letting U.S. troops in, that's a whole nother, you know, conversation that we can talk about. But I believe it's just a little bit too quiet right now. I know a couple things was transpiring these last couple days with
Iran.
Yeah, the sports, the Super Bowl and the Olympics and whatever. I still don't know who was playing. So you got to be more focused and, you know, dialed into what's really important to you. But that right there, that's going to be something super big this week that we're going to have to pay attention to, because there's U.S. troops in Nigeria that's super close to these countries that banned U.S. citizens already. So something's going to happen pretty soon. I'm not sure what, but you really have to pay attention. You have to get the information. You got to talk to the right people. You got to talk to the people that's on the ground, right? That's very, very important.
Exactly. And this is why our clients are not chasing passports and visas alone. They are adding geopolitics into their relocation, because let's make this clear. The reason we do expat alerts and talk about geopolitics, number one, is because we're parents of a very large family. Number two is because this world is entering a World War III era where you can't just be on cloud nine on a train, riding around the world thinking everything is peaceful. That's not what's happening. What's actually happening is these forces, the United States, Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, the world powers militarily, which do not really include Europe, are vying for control, while the Eastern world is vying for basically a new level of independence off of the dollar. Because let's not forget the stock market crashing, crypto's crashing, and again, our clients are choosing jurisdictions that retain flexibility, where their identity is not contextual, not absolute, and where sovereignty still exists on an individual case-by-case basis. So our clients don't flee the West. They're exiting a collapsing system. That paperwork equals protection. America does not equal protection, and it hasn't for a long while. You know, I just saw an Instagram post today. I thought it was so interesting. It was a lot of Black Americans. And it was a poll, and they said, okay, a lot of you guys are leaving. Where's everybody heading to? And they voted on the poll. And 56% of people were leaving to Central and South America. That was the top demographic people were moving to. But when they get to those relocations and those destinations, they realize, oh, this is just mini America. I'm still feeling the cramp of the American system vying down my neck, watching my every move, because let's not forget, our president in America quite literally kidnapped a standing sovereign leader in South America. That's not something that happens every day. And if you think for 1 second Russia and China forgot about that, well, you probably have an interesting 2026 coming.
But yeah, look, we have to realize that, it's not about escaping, Babylon. It's not about, I mean, it is, but that's not enough. That's really not enough. You gotta have this information. You gotta have these talks. You gotta be true with yourself. You gotta be, true with moving, because these geopolitics is very, very important. What's happening all around the world now? That's that side of the west side of the world, the east side of the world now. You can even say with Japan and
West Africa.
Taiwan, yeah. It's really everywhere. So it is very, very important. This is why we tell you guys time after time. It is important to know how to move around, to know how to move your resources around. That's important. But even more important, you have to choose the right location. You have to choose the right region to move to, because if protests happen, you get what I'm saying, in the country that you choose, and there's just like in Venezuela, that's a perfect example. When that happened and everybody came on the streets, and they were happy, but they were still protesting and stuff like that. It's really important to know geopolitics and how to move around.
You know what? I just thought about some of our groups and our clients, because our clients tend to stay in the groups that we provide for them and still talk to each other. And somebody asked a question and said, you know what? I'm realizing in certain territories of the world, I would not be able to access my retirement. And we said, this is exactly why we only recommend 5 countries in Africa. Only a handful of countries in Southeast Asia. There's only a handful of places you can go as an American that is still super tied to America. Taxes are changing. Borders are changing. Digital IDs are going up. People are looking at each other not from a traveler perspective when you arrive, but they're really wondering, is this person a spy? Is this person honest and integral about what they're doing? Do they have the paperwork and bank statements and business logistics to back up what they say they're doing in this country? Which, by the way, is why you should quite literally visit www.tiffygrights.ai.com, because I have been in business for 9 years. And our marketing agency is the prime way that we get residency in these countries. Check it out, because I have a VIP day slot coming up, but there's only one space, because I can only take on one person since I'm 7 months pregnant. So that is it. Visit www.tiffygrights.ai, because I find it really sad when people in America do not properly prepare. They don't have their business paperwork in order when they could literally start their business, get marketing, and then start to book clients. Because here's the thing, when you go to these countries, they don't just want to see that you have an LLC. They want to see that it's profitable, that it's making money, that you're reaching a certain income requirement, and that can only be done with the proper sales and marketing training.
Yes. Check the links in the description, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you like the video, and we will talk to you in the next one. Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom.